Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. Today's video is another look at the DoorDash driver, or the woman who claims to be the DoorDash driver, and try to get into more specifically what she was talking about. After my last video on my show, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out exactly what she was saying and at various parts, and I thought it would be useful to then go back through. It'll be somewhat similar to the last video, but more precise, I believe. I also noticed that there's all these crazy people showing up on YouTube claiming to be Brian Kohberger's friend, putting all the people who believe Kohberger is innocent on a list, and telling us how everybody's fat and short if you're a Kohberger, if you think he's guilty. I mean, these people are crazy people. Brian Kohberger is the killer, and I don't give a damn if somebody's a friend of his and says, there's no way he could do it. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, all right? So when the trial happens, you'll be absolutely embarrassed of yourself for believing he didn't do it. All right, so let's take a look at the body camera footage again of this woman who was, and yes, I know her name. People think they're really sleuthy, typing in the comments the person's name, etc. I know what her full name is. I looked it up. That's how I figured out the fact that one of her stories that she told was true, because it was her husband that was shot 3 times when he went over to help a woman change her locks, etc. Yeah, I figured it all out. Okay, it's not new news or anything like that. It almost feels like when you guys put the name of the person in the comments, you just want to out the person's name, and I don't really want to do that. Okay, I just want to discuss what she is saying here. All right, so let's play the audio again. Maybe we'll play it a couple times.
And now I have to testify. Big murder case too, so yeah, because I'm the DoorDash driver, so yeah.
You have to testify in which murder case?
Murder case with the college girl.
Oh.
My DoorDash driver, I saw right there.
See, we think it says, I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Brian near the house. Right? Then there's another portion that seems to kind of match that. Right there, she said, I parked right next to him. Let me rewind that. I was talking over it. I parked right next. I parked right next to him, like that. His car's in the street and he's by me. And that's kind of what we decided seemed like she was saying. And that makes sense, right? So if you look at that sentence right there, and then we go back to the previous statement right here, he parked right next to me. And then it makes sense that she would say his car is in the street and he's by me. Something like that. Like, that's what we hear. And maybe it says something else, but that seems really to make a lot of sense. All right, so let's just listen to that whole thing one more time.
And now I have to testify. Big murder case too, so yeah, because I'm the DoorDash driver, so yeah.
You have to testify in which murder case?
Murder case with the college girl.
Oh.
My DoorDash driver, I saw right there. Right next to him. Car accident, abuse.
Okay.
I'm the DoorDash driver. I saw Brian near the house. Okay. And then I parked right next to him. And then his car is in the street and he's by me. All right. Now, when we say the car is in the street, You know, here is 1122 King Road. Is she talking about this street right here or right here? Now, there's other people out there claiming that somebody that knows the DoorDash driver says that she saw him, you know, changing clothes or something like that. I mean, I don't know how that's possible because he wouldn't have been changing clothes likely in either at 4:08 or 4:18, something like that. And she delivered the DoorDash at apparently around 3:59, maybe closer to 4 o'clock, if you believe that the key fob made the honking sounds of the vehicle, and those sounds were at 3:59:46, and then right around 4 o'clock and like 20 seconds or so. So that would give her enough time to go back around to the back of the house and drop off the DoorDash. Now let's get the precise time. So the purple here is the DoorDash beeping sound. So we had 46, 48, 51. And then 4 o'clock and 27 seconds, not 20. And 4 o'clock and 28 seconds. So the time in 9 seconds to 27. So that would be 36 seconds in between the time of the last of the first 3 beeps and then the first of the second beeps. So likely, you know, if you were unlocking your car, some cars actually beep when you're unlocking it. And also, you know, you can do that sometimes when you hit the lock button or something like that. It shows you can find your car if it's in a parking lot. And of course, in this situation, it's not hard to find your car because you just would have pulled up in front of the house and parked it. But there's 36 seconds there, but you would do that when you're heading towards your car, and you would likely do that when you've headed away from your car. So that would mean at 3:59:51, perhaps in this situation, she's already headed towards the back. Now, there's people that have been commenting in the comment section that say that oftentimes DoorDash drivers will click the "It's Delivered" button while they're still in their car, and that readies the camera and everything, and then you walk up, set it down, and then you take a picture, etc. So that's interesting, right? Because if it says 3:59, then it could be very possible that they didn't leave their car for another 46 seconds or so, and then they get out and they walk back behind the house, and then maybe at like 4 o'clock and 15 seconds is when they drop the DoorDash in the back of the house, and then they walk back, and as they're heading to their car at 4 o'clock and 27 seconds, they hit the key fob again, and it makes the little honking noise that we heard on the previous video. So if we think about it like that, and we think, okay, at 3:59 is when she pressed "It was delivered," well, maybe she was in the parking area at like 3:58. And if that's true at 3:58, that would make sense that she saw Kohberger's vehicle. Kohberger's vehicle parked, and that was in my last video. If you look at right here at 3:57:27, we're right there. That's when the vehicle's headlights hit 1127, and that's when it's turning back behind here. So that means when the car's driving, it turns right there, and again, the headlights hit this building. So it's turning, and let's just estimate that at 3:57:27 it's turning. So likely it would have parked at like 3:57, let's just say 40 at the latest. So 13 seconds later it drove down and parked. Now what if the vehicle, when it turned, it parked down here, right in this area? However, I was looking at it again, and let me just draw this for you. So this area right here is where the camera was, and that camera cannot see anything behind that line right there. Okay, so it cannot see anything back here. It can see something right there and then forward. But let's just show from right here to there to here, and right there, back here, and then even if we go back around here, this area right in here cannot be spotted on camera. It's not on camera anywhere. It might be like, I can move these up a little further, I would say about like this. That's when the 1330 Linda Lane camera that's right there quits picking up the vehicle. So this is the only place, and I guess if you want to, you can go back into here. This is the only place that that vehicle could have been during that time, and on all the other passes when it stops, and during the homicides. This is the only portion. Let me make it thicker so you can see it better on the screen. So I'll make it 5. Of course it's white, so let me try to make that a different color, like red, so you can see it. And there you go. So inside of this red here, the vehicle cannot be seen. So is it possible then, which I hate saying, is it possible? Everything's possible, but I mean, is it likely? I mean, the thing is, I think it's actually likely, or just as likely as anything else. If we look at the 357.27, what if the vehicle drove and it was right in this area? You know, that's something we don't really talk about too much. What if the vehicle made it to this area right here and stopped? And the DoorDash is still sitting there. So what if he drove down slowly around and then stopped, and then maybe sat there for 15 seconds or so, and she's parked right in there and still hasn't left her car yet? And it wasn't until he drove away that she went and delivered the food, because maybe he made her nervous. So let's say he's driving down, he's a little bit slower right there, and that time would be, you know, so we have 357.27 until 358.23, and at 358.23 his vehicle's right there. Okay, so that means we have 50 seconds to play with. So he turns, and let's just take away 13 seconds or so. So that means we have about 37 seconds to deal with. So that means after the car comes down here, maybe it drives slow and then stops right there. I guess what they're claiming wasn't that he was getting undressed, is that he was in this position here and he was looking into Xana's room. Now, I don't know how you would know if somebody was actually looking into Xana's room in the dark through sort of tinted windows. I mean, I don't know how you would know that, but I guess, you know, technically it's possible, and I guess just as likely at that time that the vehicle drove around and maybe it stopped here. So instead of 13 seconds, maybe it took 18 seconds or so to get there, and then he would sit there and look, and maybe he was looking at this DoorDash car that was here, and then he took off. And if you look at the timing here, it's 3:59:04. His headlights are heading south on Walenta Drive, and that means it's left this area, and at 3:59:04 he's right there, and 4 seconds prior to that is when she marked delivered. So that means during that time frame at 3:58:23, when it shows up just to the right of 1112 King Road camera, that maybe she pulled in at like 3:57:30, you know, I mean, like right around that time, and then he pulls around, and then a minute and a half later she clicks delivered. So I mean, looking at it from above here, you might say something like she pulls in like this, and his vehicle's right back like this, coming around, and she's right there, and that's why he comes around and stops right here and looks and sees what's happening, what's going on with the DoorDash. And he's just waiting and watching, but nobody's moving, because that lady's, maybe she's scared at this point, because like, hey, there's this car driving around late at night and stopping and looking. Maybe even if it was right here, she would probably have that feeling. And then he starts driving away, and that's when she feels safe enough to then say, okay, it's delivered, then gets out of her car and maybe walks back behind and delivers the DoorDash to the back of the house right here. And then she goes back to her car, and that means she's likely getting back to her car right around 4 o'clock and 28 seconds. So maybe we'll just say 4 o'clock and 45 seconds she's back in her car. And that would also match up with headlights are seen heading northbound at 4 o'clock and 14 seconds. So he's driving by right this way again after doing that U-turn that I discussed on the other video, He drives back over here and does a U-turn and heads back really quickly, and her car is still there. So this time he doesn't want to go back in and be seen. He drives around, all the way around, and then passes the Ridge Road camera. They got the great front license plate, not being there image, and he comes around like this, and then eventually makes his way back in for the fourth and final pass. And when he got there, she likely wasn't there. Now, if you want to say that she was still sitting there and sitting there and sitting there, and then finally at 4:07 and 47 seconds when it comes around here and parks at 4:08, I think it's likely actually that he parked more down in this area. But it wouldn't shock me at all if he parked right back here, as I thought in many other videos that I've done. From right here, you can look right into her room, but if it's go time and you're ready to go, you would park in a spot that would give you the best access to get the hell out of there as fast as possible. So I think maybe he parked right over in this area. So if we take a look at the 360-degree video that I made, we'll just hit play, and this is what the car would be doing, driving down here and maybe stop near where that car was. So you look at over here, you have to go down a steep hill, and it'd be easier to get trapped somehow up there if certain situations happen. If you parked right there, you just come out that back door, come up this little tiny hill, that fence was not there, you get into the car, and then you head away at a high rate of speed. Now, what we were talking about a minute ago is if the DoorDash driver was parked kind of, let's just say where that white van is even. So there was other cars parked right in front of the house there, so the only space would have been a little bit further forward of that van. I would say like right in this area. And if Kohberger pulled up right here and was checking out what they were doing, so you got a picture of the car would have been turned around, the DoorDash delivery would be facing 1122 King Road, not away like that car. And so, you know, he's just watching and checking out what that car is doing. And maybe he stopped here for a moment. So he stops, he looks around for 25, 30 seconds or so, and then he heads out. And then this building right here is the 1112 King Road. All right, I guess it's easier to say 1112 King Road. And this is the one that has a camera on it. So if you look right after I pass this vehicle is when you could see the lights from the vehicle, and the camera at that time was right there on this light that's right in between the window and the front door. All right, so right around in this area right there, that camera could pick up the vehicle. All right, so I mean, when we're going over this, let me know what you think. I mean, tell me the time frame where you think the car was parked. I mean, I've always thought it was parked in the back there, but recently I'm thinking, what if there's some truth to some of the information that Bethany Funk may have said, that she saw somebody, these are all just rumors, but saw somebody changing, and what if this lady, the DoorDash driver, did see him and he was right next to him, and then he drove away at that time, and she definitely would have seen that. Like if she pulled in a little early at like 3:57:30, and then at 3:59 when she felt safe, she said, okay, I'm delivering it. Then she gets out of her car at like 3:59:40, clicks the button a couple times, the key fob, then walks around the back, delivers it. When she comes back, she clicks it again. I mean, I think it's really interesting, you guys. I mean, look at these numbers here and let me know what you think. The purple are the key fob sounds. And then just 3:59 flat is when she said it was delivered. So that would be just before this time when the headlights are seen heading south on Willanta Drive. That means he's already left the complex and is heading on Willanta Drive right back over here. So he's already left and he's right there. However, for her to get there and click at 3:59, she would have had to be in this area right here before he would have exited the complex. So they would have passed each other. There's almost no doubt about it. And, you know, you can't just go, okay, look at that. She drives in, gets right out of her car and clicks. Nobody knows that information. I think the information that some of the DoorDash people have put in the comments, that they often click delivered before delivering it, like they're still sitting in their car. It activates the camera. Then they walk over to the house, they place it and take the picture. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. And it matches this information. At 3:59, she marks it delivered. Then at 3:59:46 is the first key fob sound, because now she's exiting her car. And maybe she stayed in her car longer because Kohberger's car was there and it made her nervous. And then when they left and appeared to be gone, she gets out of her car, hits the 3:59:46, then 3:59:48, then 3:59:51. Then she walks out around the back, places the DoorDash delivery. I mean, it could even be in the front of the house, but the GPS coordinates appear to indicate that it's in the back of the house. And then at 4 o'clock, I mean, Dylan says everybody's in bed. And these are hard times right here. The 4 o'clock and 14 seconds, headlights are seen northbound on Walanta Drive, and then he's heading back. So she hasn't even hit the key fob again. That means her car is still sitting in the front, and that's likely why Kohberger, for the only time out of all the looping, did not come back onto King Road here. He drove around, saw that the DoorDash driver was still there. He didn't know what the vehicle was there for, and then he drove around like this and around again, driving by the Ridge Road camera. All right, so let me know in the comments what you think. I think this kind of stuff is really interesting, and what I like to try to do is narrow down as closely as possible using the facts that are available to figure out the timing. And it does appear that that woman is the DoorDash driver, but I have to say that I have no proof other than her saying that she is. All right, that's the reality of it. It sounds like she's telling the truth because the other story she told in that interview was absolutely accurate, that her husband was shot 3 times and she was there. There's even articles, as I showed in the last video, that prove that she was telling the truth on that part, so why wouldn't she be telling the truth about the being the DoorDash driver? It seems like it might be accurate. All right, so leave a comment in the comments section and let me know what you think. Maybe try to let me know. How about on the screen right here, I'll put like, let's put A, and then we'll put another pin right here on that street. That'll be B, and then I'll put another one up here. We'll call it like right here, C. That's right there where you can see through Madison Mogen's bedroom, where I've always put that I thought she was. And then some people think he parked way back here. I just don't think that that's very likely, but you might think that. So here we go. We got A, B, C, and D. Let me know in the comment section where you think he likely parked the white Elantra. And I'm referring to pass number 3 when the DoorDash driver was there in this question. A, B, C, or D. And maybe in the comments, if you'd like, you can comment where you think he parked during the homicides. Obviously it wasn't A, but maybe B, C, or D. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. All right, so thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I always like trying to work through these puzzles like this, and I would appreciate your feedback. So if you can hit that like button for me, I would appreciate it. Share the video and subscribe to my channel. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. And by the way, watch all my other videos that I make on other cases. They're just as interesting. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.